This is an episode of Mindfulness, Sexuality, Relationships. I'm your host, Anita DeFrancesco, modern sex and relationship coach. Today I have Eyal with us, and he is a sexual empowerment coach, and intimatepower.com is his website, but he's a sexual empowerment coach, and he's going to talk to us about his new book called Orgasm Unleashed, and about sexuality, men, women, primarily women. And I want to welcome you, Eyal. How are you today in Thailand, and how's things over there?
Hello, Anita. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And it's thanks to you that I'm not just speaking to myself and my friends and my clients, but bringing this life-changing world to a wide audience. So thank you for that. I am looking at a very nice view. I'm on a hill overlooking the Thailand Sea and jungle and fishing boats, and yeah, very nice. So I'm doing very, very well.
I've been to there. It's a wonderful place. I've spent a lot of time in Chiang Mai.
Yes, totally different vibe, by the way. Here is more like the sensual, bodily, party plus yoga area. So yes.
Are you in Chiang Mai, or where are you exactly?
I am on an island called Koh Phangan, which is known both for its full moon parties, but right now it's becoming the mecca for personal development, yoga, tantra, spirituality, all of the stuff in Southeast Asia. So yeah, very exciting place to be.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on Mindfulness, Sexuality, Relationships. This is the title of the show, and I'm your host, Anita DeFrancesco. And let's start with, I know working with, you have a book, number one, Orgasm Unleashed. First, tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in becoming a sexual healer, a sexual empowerment. How did that all start for you?
So, Anita, if I look back at my life, it's like I was destined to do this work, but it took me, some time to realize that. So literally, I remember being a young teenager and seeing this, noticing this woman in the community, and I came to her and I asked her, like, did something bad happen to you? It's like something sexually bad. And she said, how do you know? It's like nobody knows that. And I was just sensitive to her body language, and I picked up on that. And I was the one who was always counseling women. And I also had a quite a challenging experience where I found myself watching a scene of gang rape, which was basically in a movie, but that movie felt more real than anything that I've ever watched. And it slightly traumatized me, but it also set me on the path of healing women, protecting women, making sure I'm not the guys that are doing that, and really committing to this path. And then I discovered conscious.
Sounds like you're in touch with.
Yes, please.
Go ahead. And I was going to say, it sounds like you got started in this, that you're very in touch with your feelings, and you have some perceptiveness, intuitiveness around sexuality, around women specifically.
Yes, indeed, and sometimes intuitive, and sometimes, especially in my personal life, I totally miss the cues and miss the messages. But it's a work in progress to understand women. But yeah, I do have a lot of love and a lot of respect for women, and yeah, from a very young age, I was a geek, and I wanted to connect with women, and I wanted to understand women, and obviously I wanted to make love with women. So that was all part of it. And then I got into conscious sexuality, and I started doing what was then called yoni massage or vaginal massage to all of my lovers. And then women started telling me, you're really, really good at this. You should offer this as a service. And I thought, I'm not good enough. I'm not certified. I don't have 20, 30 years of yoga experience like my yoga teacher does. But they just told me, you're already doing it, so just do it. And I started doing that, and that took off. And then I started teaching this to people and held workshop, and Then I wrote the book, Orgasm Unleashed, Your Guide to Pleasure, Healing, and Power, in order to bring this work in.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about yoni massage. Okay, so yoni massage is a very upcoming edge service for women these days and all around the planet, or at least around the world. I know here in the United States it is.
Yeah.
And this draw, this yoni massage, why is it so healing to women? And it's not something that they would have to fear, or do women fear this? Let's talk a little bit about what the yoni massage really is about.
Yeah, thank you for asking that, because I'm really, really passionate about this part of the work. So first of all, yoni massage is set within...
Let's say what yoni is. Yoni, for our audience, yoni is the female genitalia. But go ahead, tell me about the yoni massage.
Yeah, so yoni massage is set within a larger context of what I call holistic sexual healing, sexual activation, orgasmic activation, and within the work specifically that I call the goddess awakening, which means it's one tool, it's one part of the work that connects a woman to her body, to her femininity, to her self-love, because many women don't love their body, don't love themselves, to her pleasure, and also to the divine. So that the body is an instrument to connecting with God, connecting with the divine, connecting with spirit, whatever you call that. And sexual healing, and as part of that yoni massage, is a practice that dissolves physical issues and blockages, mental issues, emotional issues, sometimes spiritual issues, that has to do with body, sex, sexuality, pleasure, and really connects a woman to her goddess essence. So it's really important to understand that it's not just about the vaginal massage. So
right.
It's not like a pap smear.
Okay, so it's not about just feeling good. Massage, the vaginal area of the woman's genitalia, the vagina, is more or less about a healing, opening up the trauma, the pain that sits in there from maybe years of different experiences that they've been exposed to that made them shut down and have shame in that area. So are you working with a lot of the shame that women deal with in this particular area, which is their entire sexual being?
Yeah, and the whole work is around three aspects, which is pleasure, healing, and power. Healing, which you mentioned, it's like I was, been working for years with women who had obviously the big things, rape and incest and gang rape and stuff like this, but also relatively more common stuff, which is, their partner penetrating them before they're ready, or stuff that, the one of their girlfriends said back in high school, and they developed a whole issue about their body and sexuality, or miscarriages, or stuff like this. So that's the healing part. The pleasure part is about connecting a woman to the vast potential of pleasure that she can have. And many people are not aware that a woman can have literally a 1 hour orgasm. A woman can have not just multiple orgasms, but different kinds of orgasms. People are not aware that...
Let's talk about that. Yeah. Let's talk about the different types of orgasms. And you have this in your book, right? Your book is called Orgasm Unleashed. We're talking with Eyal, and his book is Orgasm Unleashed. Talk about this, the orgasm and pleasure, that the potential that a woman has that she may not have experienced yet in her life.
Yes. So this is another thing that I'm very passionate about, because I'm very passionate about connecting people to the potential of what is possible for them by themselves and with another person. So the idea with orgasm is that many women are experiencing a very specific kind of orgasm, which usually comes from clitoral stimulation, but not just clitoral stimulation, which I call the explosive orgasms, which means there's a very strong peak of pleasure that immediately drops, and then a woman loses her pleasure, loses her libido, slightly loses her interest in her partner. Some women say that they feel a little bit hypersensitive in their clit, so kind of like the don't touch me feeling done, but not deeply satisfied. So kind of like, I'm done, I had my orgasm, on to the next thing, rather than being being literally dissolving with pleasure, which is the other kind of orgasm. Some women would actually have more negative effects, which is they will feel depleted, they would feel lacking energy, they would use it as a sleeping pill because afterwards they would literally fall asleep. They would feel a little bit like they would feel left wanting. They feel like they were building up towards something and they didn't get it. Because the pleasure is.
So you're saying that
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
you're saying that this charging up, the woman charges up and she comes into this place of what happens then? She's constantly in a charging feeling, and this becomes part of her, her chemistry, or.
So just to mention more about the explosive kind of orgasm, the problem isn't in the clitoris itself, and the clitoris is a beautiful part of a woman's body, a sacred part of a woman's body. It's about how a person handles their energy. It's the same thing like men, it's like men can come after 2 minutes, or men can go on a 3-hour sexually penetrative experience, or go for weeks without coming, without ejaculating, but still have whole body orgasms. So this is the same thing for a woman. It's about harnessing the energy, it's about channeling the energy, and then having the other kind of orgasms, which are implosive orgasms, whole body orgasms, which is an orgasmic state and not an orgasmic moment. So literally a woman can be in an orgasm for an hour, sometimes for 2 hours, and sometimes for 7 hours. I've seen women go through literally thousands and thousands and thousands of orgasmic waves that last anything between a few seconds to a minute. This feels much more embodied, much more connected to the partner, much more spiritual. The pleasure is way stronger, but kind of like rounder, so it's not as sharp as the previous kind of orgasm. It's more of an empowering orgasm, which means the woman can later learn how to have this by herself.
Right.
It kind of like keeps going. It's not something that happens and that's it. It keeps going by itself. So a woman will be in waves of orgasm longer after self-pleasuring and sex. And it's also a very spiritual experience because in that you feel connected.
So here's a question for you. What is the most important thing that the woman can do to become orgasmic, and what can her man do?
So my whole message...
Or how would she teach her man?
Yeah, so my whole message is that you have to do your own work first. So don't rely on a man or on a partner or on anyone to heal you, fix you, pleasure you. And the whole book, Orgasm Unleashed, Your Guide to Pleasure, Healing and Power, is about giving women, first of all, the ideas and the understanding that they can do a lot by themselves. And also the tools, the techniques, their practices, and there's literally hundreds of techniques in the book on how to become orgasmic, multi-orgasmic, to have the 20 different physical orgasms that a woman can have, to have chakra orgasms, to have different elements orgasm, to have long orgasmic states. So there's a few practices that I can mention. And also, before I mention that, also to say that, that I agree fully that some things you can only receive from another person. And also women who see me over, Skype sessions for these orgasmic activation sessions, it's like they receive something from me that maybe they cannot do for themselves because they're not a professional. They cannot receive from their man because the man is not a professional. But I also teach men how to bring women into this really, really deep states. And it's not just about states of pleasure, it's about how to get a woman into her feminine, how to get a woman to trust you as a man or as a partner, surrender and embody this immense capacity of pleasure that she has. So that's a little bit about that.
So work with a woman, you're teaching her and you're healing her and you're opening her up, and then she sort of builds this relationship to herself. And then when she gets a partner, does she begins to, become more open toward the partner?
Yeah.
And are you working with the partners together, or are you just working primarily with the woman?
So
do you work with a couple?
So I work with couples as well, but mostly and mainly, which is I just connected the words. Mostly and mainly, I work with women, and then I work with some men as well
Okay.
to teach them how to do this. And the idea is that if a woman is in a relationship, the quality of her sex life would improve because she's doing her work by herself. And I worked with women in relationships that their sex life
Oh,
transformed, even if the man didn't have any sessions with me. Um, and also, if a woman is single and she starts doing this work,
hmm.
she would raise her sexual resonance, which means her ability to attract, her ability to manifest better lovers. Because when you love yourself and when you love sex and when you love your body, you would attract the people, the healers, the friends, and yes, the lovers and the life partners who would resonate with you on this new level.
So it's more about being this positive that a woman can open up to and remove or dissolve some of the hate and the ego and dissolve a lot of the judgment.
Exactly. And you live.
Starts to open, she becomes a go ahead. She becomes this open channel to receive what's there.
Yes, totally,
Is
totally.
that
Yeah, and there's a lot
now?
of
Here's
aspects
a
to this work, and some of them are about removing or dissolving limiting beliefs that a woman has about herself, removing guilt, shame, and fear around sexuality. And you, by the way, live in society, the American society, as part of the Western society that came from England, which actually is sexually repressed. Actually, is very puritanistic. Actually, has a lot of issues around sexuality and nudity and bodily expressions and so on. And this is something that is not recognized in the States.
Why do you think it's such a touchy subject in our society? This whole sexuality topic, it's taboo.
So I have an article in the Huffington Post called "Are We Sexually Repressed and We Don't Know It?" And I'll just mention a few things there. One of them is that
Okay.
the Western world comes from the Judeo-Christian religions, which has big issues around sexuality. You know, sex is the original sin, and there's everything has to be within a committed relationship. There's the Victorian Puritanism, and your country was established by Puritans from England, and there's still remnants of that. Okay, this is still very strong, and it's not just the Deep South, which is Christian and kind of like traditional. It's even places that think that they are very sexually advanced and so on. The proof is in the pudding. You see the problem with porn. You see problem with rape culture. You see women doing so much plastic surgery in order to change themselves, and you see current state of affairs, infidelity, sexual issues, sexual dysfunctions, and so on. So the proof is in the pudding.
So this gets involved with our success and wealth. Let's talk about sex related to success and how does that come together?
Yes, so sexuality is not just about sex. So how you do anything is how you do everything.
Where most people think it is.
Exactly, and they talk about, in the bedroom and out of the bedroom. And I would emphasize, so first of all, if a woman is listening and she has sexual issues, not able to orgasm, having pain during sex, having fear from sex and intimacy, having relationship issues that coming out of the sexual issues, history of pain and sexual abuse in whatever level. How does that woman perform? How does that woman go to the office, operates in her business? How does that woman interact with other men and other women? Okay, so it's not about sex, it's about your daily interactions with both men and women. And if we take another scenario, if this woman works on herself and become self-loving, loving her body, taking care of her body. And by the way, women that I work with effortlessly lose weight because when they love themselves, they stop treating their body like a garbage can. Okay, so they start respecting their body. So if a woman loves her body more, respects her body more, having this amazing orgasms that leaves her charged and happy and content, if a woman loves both her femininity and her masculinity, then how does she walk? How does she talk? How does she interact with men and women? The creativity is exploding once you connect to the sexual energy, you know. So creative people are connected to the sexuality, and the more you allow that to flow, the more you are able to create things in the world. And create things is not just about paintings and sculptures, it's about business offerings and workshops and so on. So whatever you do in your life would be more charged. So you would literally make more money by connecting to your sexual energy.
So it is practical to say that a sex coach is just as important as a psychologist.
I don't want to say anything about psychologists, but many psychologists talk about issues. I solve them. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, what I'm getting at is that I'm a modern sex and relationship coach. And by the way, you're listening to an episode of Mindfulness, Sexuality, and Relationships. I'm your host, Anita DeFrancesco. I'm a modern sex and relationship coach, and we are talking to Eyal Matsliah. I'm saying your last name. He is a sexual empowerment coach. President. He wrote the book. It's called Orgasm Unleashed, and he does a lot of healing with women because he has this special talent that he has opened up to his feminine and the feminine and the masculine that live in all of us into awakening the goddess, the sexual activation. But it is, I want to talk about sexual activation in a moment, but it is practical to say that why not go to a sex coach, a sex and relationships coach?
Yeah, indeed. And
it's just as part of the full human being as, how would you address that? I mean, do you see people shying away from that?
Yeah, so just to mention, my work is around sexuality, creativity, and conscious business. But the sexuality aspect, I would say that, you know, if you have, you know, a pain in your back, you would go to a massage practitioner or a chiro or an osteo. If you have issues with with anything, you know, medical, you would see a practitioner that deals with that. So why is it when a woman has pain in her vagina, she goes to a psychologist to talk about it? Okay, she needs to go to somebody like you or somebody like me.
Well, the thing is, but here's the thing. I think that people getting, say, in the vagina, I think that they have a pain of emotion, which leads to the vagina, so they don't even know that a sex therapist, a sex coach is something that is a possibility for them to even, you know, stumble across. I think it's just not known that they can do that. It's a thing where can I?
Yeah.
And I don't really think people understand their own sexual pain. Is that so? Is that from your experience as well?
Yeah. So people are not even aware that there's solutions. You know, so women. I talk with woman after woman after woman, who believed that she will never be able to orgasm. And you know, she works with me for a few weeks or a few months, and she, without sometimes me touching her, just by Skype, you know, she's having this amazing orgasmic states. Women and people generally don't understand that sex is an art. Sex is something that you can learn. And when I'm saying sex, it's not just the act of sex and penetration. It's everything around your sexuality. So there's some non-sexual practices and some sexual practices that a person can do either by themselves, or with their partner, or with me as a sex coach, both, you know, online or face-to-face or body-to-body. And also there's a lot of practices. This is a very, very deep, very ancient methodology and work, and like I say, art.
It's beautiful what you're doing, Eyal. I totally admire you helping the realize her potential through the orgasmic understanding of the full body. And we need more healers like this.
Thank you.
And you know, again, they can be yes, and they can be choosy of who their coach is, because you see that yourself. You're very trained. You have education. You have experience. You've written a book, and you teach a lot of workshops. Is that so? You're teaching where are you?
Can you just
Hello?
repeat
You
the
there?
last question? Yeah, I got most of it. So where
yes.
are you?
I I, under, I understand that you're teaching workshops where women can come to the workshop and get familiar with who you are, say before having a private session with you. Where are you teaching a lot of your workshops?
Yeah, so the idea with the workshops, and you mentioned that I have talent, and I thank you for your nice words. But the idea is that it's not just my talent. My pride, my professional pride, comes from teaching people how to do this. So it's not, I'm not the expert. I'm not just the expert. I'm teaching people how to be masters. So I like to say I don't have students. I initiate masters. So I help men to touch women and to relate with women and to talk with women. I teach women to do this for themselves, and I teach people to do this for other people, both lay people and also sexuality practitioners. So I've created something called the sexual empowerment movement, and the sexual empowerment movement is around bringing these ideas and bringing these practices to the people that need them. And this is really like my vision is to bring sexual education to everybody, starting from literally like age like 3 or 5, like when kids are touching themselves, to teach their parents how to deal with that and not to give them a hard time, so prepubescent, pubescent, like young people, older people, 70, 80-year-old people can have an amazing sex life as well. So really it's about bringing this everywhere. The workshops are both online and in person, and they're both for men and women. Because again, I'm trying to teach and empower and educate both men and women to relate with themselves and with each other. In some workshops, it's all about the person themselves, which means there's no couple exercises whatsoever. So it's all about you and your own journey, how to cultivate your sexual energy. Energy orgasms, and many other things like that. And the second kind of workshop is
This is wonderful.
Yes, please.
Go ahead. Yeah, I wanted to say I can't stress how important sexual healing is, just like emotional healing, and it all goes together. It ties together. Is that so? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And the idea is that people many times are coming to connect with somebody else, and before they connect with somebody else, I teach them how to connect with themselves. And so this is literally a 2.5 days workshop around that. The other kind of workshop is exactly the opposite, which means people come to learn how to talk with a woman, how to look at a woman, what to say. And it's not about pickup lines or seduction lines. It's about how to talk with a woman in a way that opens her and makes her feel seen and makes her feel safe and make her feel aroused. Then it's about non-genital touch, because how many times, Anita, did you have guys going straight to your boobs and then straight trying to put their fingers inside you and then trying to put their penis inside you? That doesn't work. Men don't know how to relate.
That's very, very, it's very common. So it's our job to teach them, right? You're saying that what would be the first and most important thing that a man should know about pleasuring a woman? What would be the first, one of the most important things first, would you say?
So the first thing to understand about a woman is that she's not a man. Which means that men get aroused from their penis outwards. Okay, so with the man, you're very safe to touch his penis as early as possible. Okay, because we are programmed by nature that our energy center is in our penis and in our genitals. A woman works exactly the opposite way. And by the way, I'm generalizing a lot and just, take it with the generalization.
Yes, I hear you.
But women...
It's not everyone, but...
Yeah, so women get aroused from the outwards in, from up downwards, and from soft to harder or to greater intensity. So with a woman, you would start in her head and her face and her chest, and not even her nipples, but generally her chest, and then you would go south. So, and this is just the physical arousal of a woman starts when she goes into the door, and even before that. So it's about having an attitude of sensuality, an attitude of worshipping the feminine, an attitude of connecting with the feminine and seeing the feminine before you even touch the feminine. So I'm teaching people literally how to look at other people. I teach them how to place their hand on somebody's back, because when I hug a woman, she's orgasming in my hands, even if both of us are wearing clothes and we are in a public place. So many times I would just hold a woman in my arms and she would start literally shaking and trembling and crying and moaning in my hands without my penis being anywhere near her.
This is beautiful.
Yes, and that's what's
possible. So you're teaching the men how to really honor and look at a woman, how to understand that she's not just a body.
Yeah, she's not a body and she's not
something.
A man. Yeah, and by the way, I'm teaching the women how to receive that.
And she is not a man.
Because women in Western societies and in the States very much, in Australia where I lived, most of Western society, women have become masculinized. Women, it's like, got their rights and so on, which is great. But in the process, they lost connection with their femininity. So I get women who come to me and they say, it's like, yes, I have the career and I have the money and I have the status and I have the house and I have everything, but I'm feeling dry. I'm feeling dry emotionally, I'm feeling dry physically, I'm constantly stressed out, I don't have libido, or I never orgasm, and I can't surrender to my man, and I love my man very much, but the relationship is not working because I keep controlling him, or I don't have a partner because men are afraid of me because I'm too strong for them. So I hear a lot of this stuff. So men have lost touch.
So
and women have lost touch with their.
They've lost the touch.
Yeah.
So in other words, they armor up. The body armors because of different experiences, perhaps in the corporate world, or perhaps in past relationships that surface as they get older that they may not even realize that's been living in their cells all these years, and all of a sudden they.
And even society.
When they're in this marriage or long-term relationship.
Yeah, even society, even it's like, let's say a woman never had any kind of sexual trauma or anything like that, but she grows up in a culture that tells you that sex is a sin, or that if you are having sex with a guy, you're giving it to him, and thus you're a slut. Or if a guy is having sex with a lot of women, there's something wrong with that. Or certain kinds of sex is okay and other kinds of sex is not okay.
So they're programmed, yeah.
Yeah, it's programmed by society, because sex is a liberating force. Sex is a life-changing force, and once you connect to your sexual energy, you become independent, you become sovereign, you become free, you become powerful. And I'm not so much into conspiracy theories, but I would just say that if everybody would be sexually empowered in the world wouldn't look like this. There will be less war and less corruption and less, environmental damage, because this is all done with people who are not connected
totally agree.
To their heart, not connected to themselves, and not connected to each other.
And Mother Earth rules with all the storms we have going on right now. Irma, to be specific, right, with Irma and Harvey happening here in the United States. I feel that this is a lot of hateful energy, because the Mother Earth, she rules. And the feminine energy is the energy that is the most present, is it not?
Yes.
What about Shiva and Shakti, the Shakti energy, the feminine presence?
Yeah, if Shiva is nothingness and consciousness in Tantra, Shakti is energy and Shakti is everything. And Shakti, meaning the world, is showing us humans, it's like, look, listen, see what you're doing with climate change. See what you're doing to the planet. And Mother Earth can wipe us out in a matter of, I don't know, a few days, and see what's happening in the Caribbean and stuff. So with all our technology and all of that, we don't stand a chance if Mother Nature really, really decides to take us out.
And this is so I say that Mother Earth rules, and it is the feminine that is the blossoming spirit that keeps us sort of in this circulation, so to speak. What I wanted to ask you about was, so we're talking a lot about sexuality, but I know it's just part of what you're doing. Let's talk a little bit more about the book, Unleash Your Full Potential. And is this on the market now, or where can someone get this book?
So that's one of my projects in progress. That's not actually out. The other things that I have apart from the Orgasm Unleashed book is an ejaculation control program for men to teach men not just how to last longer, but to use their sexual energy to transform their relationship, their mission or business, and their spiritual practice. So this is kind of like the parallel to what I.
How is that going?
That's going very well.
So that's the parallel. How is it now? And do you work with women in your workshops, or is it strictly yourself, or do you have partners in your workshops? How does that go? How are you doing that?
So there's both. So there's both men and women in the workshops, and sometimes people come as couples, and then they work together the whole workshop. Or sometimes I was very pleasantly surprised to see that people couple up during the workshop, and even if they never met. I trust spirit in order to create the perfect coupling of people in the workshop, and literally people who've never met share this beautiful, intimate practices during the workshop, and then nothing needs to happen. They don't have sex in the workshop. They don't have to see each other, but they learn how to share sexual energy and how to heal each other and how to empower each other. Even let's say if they have their partner back at home because they couldn't join. So one of my other messages around sexuality is that there's a range of sexual expressions and sexual practices, and you don't have to have sex with somebody else. You can, for example, share healing and share empowerment with somebody else for the benefit of yourself and your relationship. So yeah, there's magic.
So being an open and sexual being can help you in a lot of different relationships, not necessarily just a romantic or sexual relationship. How does that sexual energy carry into just the everyday world, going to the job, dealing with children, doing your daily chores? That becomes your creative force, is that?
Yeah, exactly. And everything, relationship is everything. Okay, it's like you mentioned kids. So let's say if you're not doing this work for yourself, think about what kind of mother or father are you? What kind of example are you giving to your kids? And it's not just, with kids, it's not just what you say, but it's the energy that you give off. So if you are an uptight, sexually frustrated, passive-aggressive, and by the way, many women and men who have issues with sexuality have passive-aggressive tendency because the energy is not moving. So how are you relating with your kids because of that? How does your health suffer because of your sexual issues? And just look at all of the reproductive issues and cancers that women have, issues with breasts and breast cancers, issues with thyroid, and women have much more problem with thyroid related compared to men. For men, it's testicular cancer, prostate cancer, and heart disease. Okay, heart disease is one of the biggest killers, if not the biggest killer in the world, because people have issues with their heart. It's not just about the diet and the arteries and all of this stuff. It's because people have issues with their heart, and this is why they have heart problems.
Interesting. So putting a cap on all that, opening the sexual energy can heal the emotions, the part of the body. So it's a physical, emotional, and spiritual healer on many different levels. And we are speaking with Eyal, who is a sexual empowerment coach. Intimate Coach is your website. Is that correct? Intimate Coach? Intimate Power.
IntimatePower.com, yes.
Power.com, yeah. And he is out of Australia, but he travels around the world, and he is doing a lot of workshops. He has a book called, Orgasm Unleashed. So what else do you want to tell us before we wrap up our interview? Anything more that you want to say, or at least where we can find you next and get the book?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. The book is also available directly at Orgasm Unleashed, and it's a real book, which means it's a paper book. It's available on Amazon and so on. And my message basically it's about having sexual freedom It's about having bodily freedom. I'm a dancer as well, a modern dancer as well. So I explore bodily freedom. It's about having creative freedom, and creative freedom is about expressing what you want, doing what you want, not being afraid of other people's criticism and rejection. It's about lifestyle freedom and travel freedom. So I'm having an amazing life, traveling around the most beautiful places in the world, having amazing experiences. It's about financial freedom, which means doing what you love, helping other people, and making money from that. It's about spiritual freedom, which is the freedom to believe in what you want and to have the spiritual practice that you want to have. And there's also other kinds of freedom there as well. So really, this work is not just about sexuality.
Are you training other?
Yes, I am training.
Are you training people to become teachers?
So yeah, this is one of the projects in the pipeline.
As well.
I've been working. So I had sexuality practitioners coming to my workshop. Some of them, were doing this work. Have been doing this work for 5 to 10 years, and they come to my workshop and they learn new things because I literally teach stuff that nobody heard about in the sexuality and tantra world. I'm working one-on-one with people over the internet as well, and training them to do this work. And I'm in the process of creating both online programs and then also a certification program to teach people how to become sexual empowerment coaches. And there's a lot of levels to this work. There's a lot of depth to this work. And as I said, I don't just want to be the expert. I want to train other people to bring this work.
Others.
Yes, that's really like my deepest
Wonderful.
passion is around that. Yeah, so I might be coming to the US. I'm not sure yet. So check out the website. Follow me on Facebook as well. Again, Intimate Power on Facebook. There's Facebook groups as well, which are called the Sexual Empowerment Movement. Sexual empowerment for women and sexual empowerment for men, where I share resources. And also to say that I'm working with very, very few individuals over coaching processes where I literally help them to change their life. So I don't just do flings and one-night stands in coaching. I go into relationships, which means I really take people through 6 to 12 months. And if somebody knows that they're doing something nice in the world, and they know that there's the next stage for that, that's where I help people. So yeah, thank you very much, Anita. I really enjoyed this interview.
So yes. So we are listening to an episode of Mindfulness, Sexuality, and Relationships. I'm your modern sex and relationship coach, and my guest today has been Eyal Matsliah, and he is a sexual empowerment coach. IntimatePower.com. And he has just written this book, which is a wonderful book to get. You can get it on Amazon or on his website, Orgasm Unleashed. Our topic today has been about women, orgasm, sexuality. And I'm so happy that you have been with us today. You're a wonderful, wonderful person to this work. And it takes a special soul to really get out there and want to embark upon this delicate, sensual part of a person's humanness. So I'm just going to leave you with liberate your sexual being today so that you can connect to all the beautiful souls out there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for having me, Anita.